And then also right now I have you all on gallery, but when we start the presentation, you might want to consider using the speaker view. And that way you can see our panelists and our moderators' lovely, beautiful face up close. But you can keep it in the, what I call the Hollywood squares too, if you want to too. And you can also pin certain pictures, certain speakers up so that you only see them as well. There's a bunch of cool things you can do with Zoom. So we're going to go ahead and get started. It's 11:04, and I want to make sure Lorin, Laura, Cindy, and Kristi have lots of time to share a little bit about their phenomenal years in business. So I'm going to turn it over to our moderator, who is a good friend of ours. She's also a executive board member of the Working Women Foundation, which is our nonprofit. Lorin Oberweger, she is the founder and CEO of Free Expressions. She does fabulous workshops. She's an author. She is an editor. She is a literary agent. I mean, this woman has done a lot over the last 25 years, and she was the absolute perfect moderator to help share the stories of these amazing women who have had such longevity in their business. And that's what today is all about, is sharing the secrets behind their longevity, especially during this trying time, which, we're calling I'm calling it my COVID cloud. So Lorin, I'm gonna let you take it away. Thank you so much for being our moderator today. And thank you to the Tampa Chamber for being our co-host.
Thank you both, the Chamber and Working Women. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the lovely introduction. I have to make one correction. I'm not a literary agent anymore. That was one hat too many. So I'm keeping busy teaching, writing, editing books, and putting on workshops and all that good stuff. But my job is really to facilitate and hear about all of these other lovely ladies' successes and their secrets for longevity too. So let's just jump in. First thing I want to do is just have each of you introduce yourself quickly and tell us about when you started, how long you've been in business, sort of maybe what the seed for your business was, what inspired you to start your business, and anything else you think we should know about the work you do. Let's start with Cindy. You're on mute, Cindy. It's just
instructions. Sorry, ladies. Good morning, everybody. Cindy Dervech with Breezin Entertainment. I'm your ambassador of fun. We are over 3 decades going strong, and I was inspired to start my business back then when I married a musician. We had a few children and decided that I could do this and be a booking agent, which I had no idea what that was. So I had to do my research, of course. And my husband, who was the musician, just said, just do you and don't worry about everything else. So I jumped in without a business plan, without really knowing what to do. I came from the hotel industry as a director of catering. So I thought that's what I knew for the last 8 years of my life. I will just follow that pattern on how to run an office. And here I am.
And when was that? I'm sorry if you said and I missed it.
It's been 30 years. So about 31 years ago, I go 30, it was 30, 31, 32, so give or take when we actually made the official date and got all licensed and everything.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Right after 1986.
That's great. How about you, Laura? Oh, thank you, Cindy. How about you, Laura?
So Laura Webb, Webb Insurance Group, we sell everything except for health as far as insurance goes. So home, auto, general liability, workers' comp insurance. We will be 17 years in January. We started January of 04, which to be honest, I don't know who all was in Tampa in August of 04 when we had all those crazy storms. So I always laugh that, God got the memo that I was starting an agency. So he said, see what she can do. So we used to be just a nationwide agency. My path to insurance is actually really odd. I don't know if we're if you want to get into that, but quickly, my degree's in education. I taught 4th and 5th grade severely emotionally disturbed students for 4 years, and then just decided it wasn't for me. I was president of the Florida State Alumni Club at the time, the Tampa chapter, and one of my board members happened to be in insurance, and he was like, "What are you going to do?" Because I told him I just happened in passing to say, "I'm not going back to teaching." And I said, "I have no idea." And he said, "Well, I know some people in claims, so send me your resume." And sure enough, like that was on a Friday. Monday, Tuesday was my interview. They offered me the job on Friday. I had until the following Wednesday to decide. I was like, let's try it, see how we go. If I don't like it, we can just cross insurance off the list. And it ended up being a lot of fun. I did workers' comp claims for national market accounts, IBM, Icon Office Solutions, UPS, and then ended up having the opportunity to actually start the agency. So in like I said, in January of 2004. So, and it's been a ride since. Of course, insurance in Florida is always, you just never know what you're going to get. It's better than a box of chocolates, darn it.
I'm sure that's, that's got to be an interesting industry. I'd love to hear more, and I guess we will. Kristi, how about you?
Hi, so I'm Kristi Campbell, the local franchise owner of Home Instead Senior Care. We provide one-on-one care to senior citizens in whatever their home environment is. And I started business back in 2003. So we just celebrated our 17th anniversary. And yes, I remember 2004 very well. That was my first dose of hurricane preparation, and holy cow. But so I just enjoy serving people. I get that from my dad and his spiritual background. He used to be a Baptist minister before he passed. And so, I enjoy helping. And he taught me to love people. You don't have to like them, but you have to love them. And I met a couple that owned a Home Instead franchise. We were out to eat on vacation, and they sat down beside us. And that was 2002. In 2003, I became a franchise owner, and here we are.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm realizing as we're talking that we have almost, I think it's got to be about 85 plus years of experience between the four of us. That is a lot of wisdom. That's pretty amazing. So I'm going to ask you a little bit about what you have found most challenging in terms of owning your own business. And we can kind of dovetail into talking about this time right now, COVID and all those things. But let's talk a little bit about what you consider your big challenges. And I'm going to just start with Cindy.
Big challenges starting before COVID, like in the beginning years, once we started hiring our own employees, was having to have an understanding that the employees are never going to work as hard as you work. And even though they're giving their heart and soul and doing what they're paid to do, sometimes the expectations that you want them to be more like entrepreneurs and all in. And in the very beginning, I was not hiring that type of person, it was an employee. And so I had to change my model when I hired people. I wanted to make sure I was finding people that had the same passion that I had for the events industry. And then that really helped a lot more because they were excited about doing the work, as passionate as I was hoping to be able to pass osmosisly over for now. And during the COVID time, very, very hard also I have a great team, and they are trying their hardest. This is very scary times for all of us. So I was fortunate enough when we decided to work remotely. Many of you all know that I brought my mom, my 95-year-old mother, to stay with me. And for the first time in 30 years, I truly let my team just hold the fort down and spent the quality time I wanted to spend with her before she passed. But when I came back, I realized how lost everybody was. And didn't know how to get back on track. So that's been my goal right now, to try to be transparent and compassionate to them and help them and guide them.
Right, and that's probably easier to do. Like you said, the work that you did in trying to build up the right kinds of employees and collaborators in your business, I'm sure makes it a little easier than people who are, you know, not as maybe incentivized to do that work. Do you find that you have that spirit, or it's still?
I do. I have that passion and the hope.
Yeah.
But what's surrounding us is phone calls coming in, postponing, canceling events. The hospitality industry, like so many of you ladies on the call, I mean, Debbie and I have done things together that we've had to postpone or cancel and transform into the virtual piece of it. But these younger employees they're like, maybe it's time to get out of hospitality. This is going to be a long haul, and there's no jobs out there in the industry right now. So there's a lot of, you know, trying to teaching people how to take our skills, and not just, you know, I have interns that are coming in too, and they're lost, like taking our skills and how does that transform maybe into the insurance business, and how great the logistics that they know how to do could transform into several different industries, but they don't quite know how to pull it all together. So that's, I'm finding I'm trying to help with that right now.
Sure. Yeah, I bet. And are you able to pivot any part of what you do to kind of meet what's going on right now? Because entertainment seems so specific, hospitality, you know, all the things that you do that are event driven, and I have an event driven portion of my business too. So
yes, I am so grateful, and it always has been. Weddings just keep on coming. So the ones that postpone, they postpone, but there are, we started a wedding division strictly for wedding coordinating over 2.5 years ago. Jessie, who's been with me for 12 years now, that was a passion of hers. So I let her lead up that whole division, and she's totally responsible for it and has done extremely well. Personally, I had a talk with her right at the turn of COVID, and it said, you know, Jess, this is a luxury. Don't know where this is going at this point. And I am shocked that these young women and men want a wedding coordinator, because they need the help to move their wedding, all their vendors to another date, or they just don't want to, they realize just how much work is involved in it. So I'm really grateful for that. So for like we're getting 4 to 5. Yesterday, we had 3 inquiries for a wedding coordinating, which was amazing. And I'm seeing it coming back, but nothing, ladies, nothing. I don't know if we have any men on this call, but nothing for 2020. So it's knowing that our future is coming back, but right now it's like, how do we stay above water in this time?
Right. Yep. That's a challenge for all of us. How about you, Laura? What are you finding in terms of early challenges compared to current challenges, you know, in the whole scope of your business?
Specifically for COVID, or just overall?
Overall, and then COVID. Sort of like, what were your challenges when you got started, and then, you know, how have those challenges changed due to COVID, if they have?
Sure. So I would say, you know, initially just I agree with Cindy, building your team. You know, I was really upfront. I hired a lot of people that were nice, but weren't necessarily great for the job. They weren't administrative. They were, you know, very probably, and also too, I realized I was hiring a lot of me, and I am not good at the administrative stuff. So I needed more complementary people than I needed mini me's. So I definitely learned that the hard way. And two, being a salesperson, you know, they say a lot, the salespeople are the ones that get sold. So I got sold a lot on ones that told me they could be really great administrative assistants and just lack those skills. So I had to really create a much better process when I was hiring to really find the people that were going to be able to fulfill the skills that I was looking for in the particular positions as well. And so then the second thing was defining what those positions were, because when I first started, I just kind of said, well, I need help. And then I needed to really hone in on what is it that I need help doing? What are the tasks that I need my team to be working on? So, and then I would say too, as you grow, like trying to determine, okay, when it's you and one other person, it's either, you know, it's either you did it or they did it, or it didn't get done, right? Like those are kind of the only 3 options. Whereas as you grow now, it's like there's so many more people that could be doing whatever the task is. And so how do you set up those processes to make sure that you continue to provide the same incredible service? Because you certainly don't want that to be compromised because now you're growing, but still making sure that all of your I's are dotted, all of your T's are crossed, and making sure that nothing falls through the cracks. As far as COVID goes, fortunately, we moved home and it was pretty seamless. Most of the pivoting that we had to do was just internal. We miss seeing each other every day. We couldn't just turn our chair around and ask someone for something. We had to figure out different ways to communicate. And we also had to figure out different ways to stay as a team. So we had huddles every morning, huddles every afternoon. We have since, just because of the logistics, have primarily moved back to the office. I've got 3 in one office, 2 in another one, 1 in another one, and then I've got a couple home. So but we still are continuing to do that morning huddle. And so we realize it's more than just, and every day we have like a, question of the day. And it's not just what we've also realized, it's not just your favorite cookie or your favorite movie. Now we're asking questions to really get to know each other and try and be a little bit more vulnerable of like, what's a trait that you look for in your friend? What's something that, you're most proud of? And really getting past those superficial type questions, because then the huddles just seemed really superficial, if you will, and they weren't bringing in that value that we truly were missing as a team. So we've had to pivot what our huddles look like as well, just through COVID, since we don't have the opportunity to, see each other in the lunchroom or things along those lines.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. So the huddle's purpose is really to like foster the connection between all of you, or does it also have a purely business function too, where you're kind of going through, things that have to, get done, or plans for the business? Is it like the combination of those things?
Pretty much. I would say it's probably, I'll be honest, we only schedule 15 minutes because, we still have work to do as well. And we don't want to dip too much into the day. So we spend 10 minutes just on our question of the day. And then the last 5 is like announcements that, do we need to change our lunch schedule today to cover it for coverage purposes, or I'm leaving early because I have a doctor's appointment or whatever. It's kind of those sorts of announcements. And then we break up, we're organized as we have administrative team, our personal lines team, and our commercial lines team. And that's where we spend more time actually talking about the business piece of it, so that we're not, hijacking time from groups that aren't going to necessarily benefit from the business conversation.
That's great. I'm sure a lot of people are grateful for, more substantive conversations and less just, typical meetings, which can really suck people's productivity. That's one of the big reasons I didn't want to go into like publishing. I just felt like everybody I knew in publishing spent all of their time in meetings and very little time in work or those connections. So that's awesome.
And I realized too, so Simon Sinek's What's Your Why has been, I've listened to him recently and I just love that. And so I really want to, try and implement a lot more of that into my office and my team as well. So
that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
How about you, Kristi? Early challenges, sort of the more consistent challenges, and then new challenges related to COVID and where we are right now.
So for me, the early challenge was educating people that caregiving, although someone in church might be good at it, or the next door neighbor might be good at it for a singletary moment, they're not going to be the long-term plan. And so educating people, you really need to hire a professional caregiver. That was a challenge because back in 03, 04, heck, 2010, 2011, people were still like, wait, what do you do? No, I've got my church friend that does that. No, really, when they don't show up, call me, So that has always been, well, anybody can caregive. Well, no, not really. Ask the adult child that wants to strangle somebody right now, So that was the beginning challenge. And then managerial wise, like Laura, as it was more than just me and then me and the one girl, and then it was me and 2 girls. And, now I've got 10, changing how I manage them, changing how I hire them, explaining to them, look, I'm a macro manager. You get the task done, I'm happy. If you need me, call, to micromanaging step by step, moment by moment. And in the interview process, telling the person, this is how I manage. Are you okay with that? Because I find that if I try to micromanage you, I get so frustrated, I'll just do the job myself. Like if I'm going to micromanage you, I'm not your manager. And so being honest with that, but then responding to making sure I train properly, making sure I communicate properly, making sure that with healthcare, everything changes, especially with COVID, things are changing by the day, if not by the minute. And so being able to respond and support my office manager, support my team as they need me, and you know, knowing when to back off, knowing when to be involved. You know, there's that phrase, trust with verification. You know, learning how to trust with verification versus hovering versus micromanaging versus macromanaging. That whole juggling process has probably been my most challenge. And then in partnership with that, not being everybody's best friend in the office. I'm in a warm and fuzzy business. We're all warm and fuzzy. You know, the tagline says to us it's personal. That's not a fake tagline. We are a family. We are a family about families. And I have had to learn to family with an arm distance away because I get too involved. I become too much friends, and then business event happens, and that friendship, I have to put that friendship away because I've put the business first. Well, you make that employee pretty angry when you put them to the side and focus on the business. So that has been just this last couple of years, something that I had to, oh, maybe I need to separate myself more and kind of start distancing that. As it relates to COVID, healthcare is a nightmare right now. There's no sugarcoating that. For us, it is education. For us, it's calming the adult children down, calming my caregivers down, calming, you know, the clients down, you know, the paranoia, the media, just turn off the news. Like, please turn off the news so that your mom is not sitting there with her dementia focused on 154,000 deaths. You know, turn that off, because that will be something that they fixate on. Get that off, you know, and just kind of helping everybody come off, I call the shelf, you know, that suicide ledge. Come on, come back, you know, let's educate, let's breathe, know you have support, know you have resources, know we've got, you know, we've got you covered, and just talking them down, because we get phone calls after every new announcement. Here come the phone calls, and we have to re-educate. We have to stay abreast. It's kind of crazy. Our counterparts, the assisted living communities, the nursing homes, those adult children that can't go see their loved ones, that is a lot of mental effect right now. And so mainly we're just trying to keep everyone on track, on purpose. Don't get in that rabbit hole. Don't go down that spiral. Don't chase that misinformation. Don't let your head get out of the way. Just let's stay focused. And it's been quite unique the last 6 months.
Yeah, I can't imagine. That must be very intense. And can you talk a little bit about, I know I'm asking some unanticipated questions, but I'm so curious, how do you help your employees deal with, you know, the caretaker burnout that comes with any kind of caretaking work, I would imagine? Like, you know, is that something that you are able to talk to them about or provide for in any way? Are you seeing more of it?
We are seeing more of it. So in our industry, so I am an employee-based agency. There are some agencies that are subcontractor-based. I'm employee-based. I have a little bit more oversight in how they spend their day. I have reason and license. Literally, I'm licensed to say, well, where else do you work? What are you doing? Like, tell me what you're doing outside of your home instead hours. And so the caregivers that want to work 7 days a week, no, you need a day off. And I know you work us during the day. You work us from, you know, the 7 to 2, you go to a 3 to 11. So I know you're working from 7 to 11 every day. You need 2 days off. Like, come on, let's go, you know. So just encouraging them for that mental break, that respite, we call it, you know, it's as important to the adult child as it is a professional caregiver. You're caregiving, you're caregiving. And if you're doing it right and you're putting your entire heart into it, you're going to have burnout pretty quick. And so just acknowledging, no, you need a day off. Thank you for trying to help us by taking on this extra shift that we're trying to staff. But no, you need to go take your Sunday off and get out of here. And then the other thing is just uplifting them. You know, acknowledging their hard work, their caregivers of the month, the caregivers of the year, you know, buying school supplies, buying, you know, doing stuff for them at Christmas, sending them an email, great job, thank you for everything you do for our clients, just loving on them and uplifting them. When you're a servant, acknowledging, hey, you did a great job, that's like giving them $1 million, you know? And so just being genuine in the appreciation, they know when you're faking it, and they know when you're legit. The latest thing that I thought was, you know, basic was doing COVID tests. We test internally, so they don't have to go sit in that 3-hour wait at St. Joe's or at Raymond James. We are required to be tested. In some of our environments, we're required to be tested every 2 weeks. Well, they were waiting 3 hours. That's 3 hours of their time they're not getting paid for. That's 3 hours of their time sitting in 100-degree weather. You know, I mean, that's just long. So we incorporated doing that internally, and it takes 2 minutes, and they're just appreciative that we thought of them to take that on. So it's the little things that I didn't think anything about, but we get thank yous often.
That makes a lot of sense. Let's shift a little bit to the more positive aspects of it. I'm going to go to Laura and ask you just to talk a little bit about what are the gratifying aspects of owning your own business, specifically doing what you do. What joys have you found along the way? You're on mute still, Laura.
Didn't even know I was on. Okay, thanks. One person said one time, with responsibility comes freedom. So the more responsibility you have, kind of the more freedom you have. I mean, I would say for sure from a, you know, scheduling flexibility standpoint, but that also means that you are sometimes you have to set your own boundaries as well and how much you're actually going to be doing. So I would say that's one of the most gratifying things for me, is being able to put as much in, work hard. And, you know, sometimes my days start at 4 a.m. and sometimes they don't end until uber late, but I'm also able to kind of maybe scoot out the door a little bit early on a Tuesday just because it's been a tough day. But I know that tomorrow it's going to start right back up again. So I think for me, having that additional flexibility has really been, I know has been beneficial. I've definitely been able to, you know, travel, but while I'm traveling, I'm checking emails. There's only been a couple times, I think in the almost 17 years, there's only been 3 days that I haven't checked emails. And it was when I was hiking the Inca Trail in Machu Picchu, because there was literally no internet. So, you know, and I try and encourage my team as well to say, you know, when you take a day off, I want you to take a day off. I need you to check out, just like Kristi, I agree with her. You know, I need you to come back fresh, come back, you know, rejuvenated, what have you, but I don't always get those, but I'm okay with that. And that's, I mean, you know, give and take as far as it's one of the most satisfying, rewarding things that I have that flexibility, but it also means that I don't necessarily get to just shut down completely. So, yep, you're on mute too. I think there's a little mute elf that's going and hitting it, because I don't remember doing that.
That's good, because I'm glad the swear word I said when I found that out was still muted. So how about you, Cindy?
The same thing. I think I never feel like I'm working, to be honest. I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. We sell fun. So I never, like someone told me one time, okay, what's your joy? And it can't be your kids or work. And I'm going, well, why not? Because that's how I feel. My joy are my family and my kids, and my joy are my employees. I love watching them thrive, and they excite me. I surround myself with a lot of, I think the younger generation, call them millenniums, they are brilliant. They do bring so much to the table, and I just love learning from them. They can teach me a lot, and I feel like they're learning a lot from me as well. That gives me joy. But we work a lot of hours as as entrepreneurs and owning your own businesses. And that is just how it is. We do have the luxury of stepping away, and it can be our choice to step away, but we're in a service industry, and we all know that people are demanding right now. There's so many ways of technology. That was the most frustrating thing for me, was like, well, now there's people are messaging you on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, like, oh my God, there's just so many places you have to keep bobbling back and forth. And it's just how it is. And people expect, in my industry anyway, instant. They think you're waiting for that. They want to be responded to. And I should probably set more boundaries on that. You know, I think you should hold back, maybe not answering your emails at 11 o'clock at night, because then people know they can reach you at 11 o'clock at night. But I don't. If I'm up and I get an email, for me, it's like, okay, one less thing I have to think about in the morning. And then until some people told me, you know, you're texting and ding, you're waking me up. And, you know, you got to be mindful that people really do think we're crazy sometimes. But I just really love, and I'm passionate about our industry. Like, we're creating experiences for people that put smiles on their faces and bring them joy. And knowing that they appreciate what we're doing is wonderful. And I feel like I could not do it alone. And I feel like the panel all feels that. I hope that my team knows how much I appreciate them and everything that they do to keep our business going and thriving.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Kristi?
So for me, at the end of the day, that makes, you know, I agree with Laura, you know, with much responsibility is much freedom, or much freedom is much responsibility. However, that's kind of synonymous there. For me, it's having that adult child be able to take a breath. You know, having that adult child say, I can go to Alaska and not worry about mom and dad. So in a way, we're restoring relationships and we're making a difference. And so when I get that thank you, when I get that, you know, conversation, all the craziness and all the conversations on Saturday and Sunday, and when you really want to take a day off, but there's an event, you really need to help them through the event, you got a hand holding, because, you know, events never happen Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. I mean, that's just not reality. So being able just to get that thank you, once again, thank you goes a long way, and it makes it go, okay, we're happy and we're good. I just feel blessed. I just feel like I call it the trifecta. We're blessed, we're lucky, and we work our butts off, and that is just it's rewarding to know that at the end of the day, I'm helping someone smile. It's that simple. I'm helping someone smile.
That's wonderful. Sorry, I have an old cat meowing in the background. But let me, while I still have you, Kristi, can you talk a little bit about what are some of the tips you have for staying in business for a long time? How have you managed to do it? And what would you advise other people in terms of like setting up a foundation for a business that has longevity, and also just maintaining that business?
So my first thought is if you're going to be an entrepreneur, make sure you like what you're doing. Make sure you enjoy what you're doing. Make sure there is a market for what you're doing. You may love, you know, selling a certain pen, but if 1,000 other people are selling the pen, you just became 1,001. So like what you're doing, make sure there's a market for what you're doing, but then listen to how your market changes. My market has changed immensely since 2003, immensely, from advertising in the yellow pages, literally a column. Laura, you're nodding your head. A column 1 inch by 3 inch color, and what color to put, and red color, you know, half of y'all are like, what in the world is she talking about? But so just being able to acknowledge how your industry changes and paying attention to those changes, and then try to be the one that responds the most efficiently and the most effectively. You don't have to be the first one that responds, because the first one may not get everything right, but you can be the one that responds efficient, effective, sooner rather than later, but efficient and effective.
That's great. How about you, Cindy?
Can you repeat that question?
Sure, absolutely. It was multi-pronged, but basically the question was, what advice do you have? What tips do you offer for setting up your business so that it can sustain long-term growth and development? And how do you, maintain your business so that, as Kristi said, you're responsive to changes? So basically just tips for longevity.
Yeah, we have to stay current. The entertainment world and the events world is forever changing. It's a very, people want what's current. We're dealing with a lot of younger people than when be able to deal with all the decades of people. But for me, technology was a game changer. And I may not have been the best at it in the beginning, but I knew it was something that we had to have and got in the game very, very early start. I was a big paper girl. Like, I had paper, I had to have files. And probably about 8 years ago, give or take, we went paperless, and I was scared to death to go paperless. And that is a game changer all by itself. Little things like 2 monitors. All my team had 2 monitors on their desks. And then finally they came in one day, I came in and there were 2 monitors. They said, just do it and try it. Game changers. And then, but just the technology and just, everything, is a service, and getting used to that everything is online, is in that cloud, wherever that cloud really is. Even with music and musicians, we started bringing them in and being able to do auditions in our office so that we can meet them and make sure the synergy's there, that everybody was on the same customer service to our clients when they went out to represent us. So I just feel like that was huge for us, to be technology, IT world, and also realizing your weaknesses and hiring people and surrounding yourself with those that, honestly, that's their strength, and delegating, not being afraid to delegate.
Right. Yeah. And then, like you said earlier on, I think it takes time to figure out what you need in that arena, what types of personalities you need around you to do that. How about you, Laura? I'll boil down the question to tips for longevity.
Sure. Yeah. So I agree. You've got to be an easy place to work. If it's too difficult, if the internet's constantly going down, if they have antiquated machines that are, the team needs all the tools that can make their job easier. If their job is difficult as it is, which insurance is pretty, technical, you've got to know a lot of laws and coverages and all these things. And now if I'm not giving them the tools that they need to be able to do that stuff easily, that's going to increase their frustration level. So I completely agree with the technology. But I also think, though, too, is like really including the team back in the purpose. Like, why are we here? Again, I yes, exactly. Because if they don't know why, if they're just like, well, I just need a job and I need to pay my bills, and it's, that'll come through to your clients, and that'll be, very, evident to them. So I think, but including them in the long-term goals as well, and saying, this is where I want to be. I want to, we've had that conversation as one of our morning huddles. Like, where do you see yourself in 3 years? What's some one thing you want to accomplish? And I've said to them, like, I want to open another company that's complementary with this one, and this is how I want to do it. And I think that really gives them excitement as well to be a part of our organization, because we're not just to a point now we're just gonna sit back, but that part of it is the way that we're reinventing ourselves, and also how they see themselves as part of it has been really instrumental in keeping the team that I've got now.
Great. While I have you, let me ask about finding clients and customers. How a little bit, I don't know if you don't have to tell us like very deeply specific, paths to doing that, but generally, how do you find your clients and customers, and how has that changed over the years, the way that you find clients or the way they find you?
Yeah, so I'll give a plug to the South Tampa Chamber. First organization I joined when I started my business, and definitely has been one of the best decisions I've ever made. So in the beginning, and even now, I would say a lot of it's about the hustle. right? Like you just got to get out there and, you know, figure out ways to continue to be relevant, whether it be partner with power partners that might be great referral partners. You know, that's what we've focused on as far as referrals go. You know, our community service is very important to us, and it's important to us just because it's community service, but as a result, it's ended up being a good way for us to obtain clients as well. Going back to the technology, we used to subscribe to something called NetQuote, where people would go online and they would put in all their information, and then the, you know, quote would come to me, or the prospect would. Well, then Geico figured that out, and so now they can pay a lot more for the same thing. So I kind of got squeezed out of there, and you know, we just try and touch a little bit of everything, to be honest, and that's where the, you know, the social media, we've got, you know, regular posts on that, and there's only so much interaction you can do with insurance as well. Like, you know, we're trying to make insurance sexy again, but I don't know if it ever was, but we're trying now. And then also, you know, we do the pay-per-click and we do all of those sorts of things, but it's just a matter of, like, you know, when it comes down to it, it's the referrals that are the ones that stay the longest, and, you know, it just comes right back to hustle, I feel like, as well. So, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think the other part of that, you know, if you're talking about referrals, word of mouth, that kind of thing, you obviously have to be providing quality service for people to want to refer you. So that's another big piece of the puzzle, I would say.
Yeah.
How about you, Kristi? How has your client acquisition, customer acquisition, like how has that changed over the years? And can you speak a little bit to the methods you employ for, you know, finding customers or having them find you?
The initial way that everyone would find us is literally the yellow pages, because our industry didn't understand that we were custodial care is what they call us, or assisted independence, and they couldn't wrap their head around that, and they stuck their head in the sand and said, if Medicare doesn't pay for you, you're not legit, and door was closed in your face. So you became a two-pronged marketing plan, where I make sure that people in my industry know how to reach us, know that we're going to respond, know that we're quality, and then, like Laura said, hustle, be everywhere, know everyone, do as much as you can without overextending yourself, pick the groups that are good for you, get relationships in those groups. Not every group I fit in, no shocker there, so I don't go to the groups I don't fit in. I try to be respectful. If a competitor is in a group and they are, you know, not a competitor or not a good competitor or whatever, I pick and choose what groups I'm at based on how saturated the group is. And so just morphing from yellow pages to pay-per-clicks, Google, you know, geofencing to, you know, you name it, just morphing and trying to know more terminologies. Rebecca would probably know a lot more of these terminologies than I even know what the heck I just said, but I know the terms, and that's kind of the danger of it all. But just trying to pivot with it. I mean, pivot seems to be a fancy word right now, or popular word right now, but just trying to get your name out there. And then to your point, Miss Lorin, if an adult child finds me on Google and they go ask a rehab, hey, what do you know about home instead? That rehab better give you the, you know, the seal of approval. If they don't, doesn't matter what they find on Google, they're gonna validate with a medical professional. So making sure a medical professional can validate me in addition to, you know, the reviews and the videos and everything else online. It's a two-pronger for us.
Sure, absolutely. And how about you, Cindy?
Exactly what these other ladies said. I still feel relationships are a huge one, like a one-on-one relationship and from the referrals. But social media for us is magnified. And we've got a lot of content we can put out there for that. So we do a lot of that. Believe it or not, I've had my girls for years doing call prospecting and getting them onto our email. Being able to get an email from me is so valuable. And what's happening right now is that if I can get an email, they may not be having it. Everybody's new now. Like my industry, you make a phone call, you can have a conversation with someone. First, they want to talk to somebody. Second, because there's not many people calling. And secondly, they're new. They've changed their tier of management. So whoever was there before isn't there now. And so just being able to put them to, like one of you all said, the rabbit hole, just putting them into our system so that they'll get our newsletters and they'll get our emails and our posts for the future. I mean, I've been doing email marketing for over 30 years now. I started that from the very beginning. And I am amazed at how little people delete our emails and how many are in the system. So I do believe that works, and I do believe call calling works. And then I think retention of your database, like going back to the people that did have great experiences and calling them and seeing how they're doing. And that's what I've been doing a lot in the last 3 months, is just calling up, saying hello, and how are you, and is there anything we can help you with now? Not even entertainment wise, getting to building a true relationship, and remembering their heartaches and what their needs are, and maybe just sending little notes just to put a smile on their face. But I think it's the whole bucket of everything right now. I think you have to do it all. Referrals are huge, and we appreciate all of them. So I too have been a South Tampa Chamber member. I don't know, a long time. All the memberships I've been a long time, but I am doing what you mentioned. I am picking and choosing which organizations I'm going to continue to belong to in the next year, and figuring out what really worked and what doesn't work, and where my time is best spent. Because as the team has to downsize for now for a little while, booking business is the most important thing right now, putting things on the books. I feel like you just have to do it all. And the other thing that I didn't get a chance to mention, I have an internship program that I value so much. I've had it for about 15 years. And these young people still need internships to graduate and just get life. A lot of them, it isn't even for graduating, it's for life experience. And we actually, I think we have 2 or 3 this semester that are just amazing. And that gives me a lot of joy, helping them find themselves, or know that they don't want to get in this industry, or maybe what industry to help them to get into. So
makes a lot of sense. I'll just let people know too, I know Jessica typed it into the chat, but if anybody has any questions that they want to add to the chat, we'll definitely get to them. Maybe one last question, and maybe the second to last if we don't have questions. What advice do you have, Kristi, start with you, for people who want to start a business and aren't quite sure how to start, or just generally want to start a business?
So if you want to start a business, find a mentor. Find someone,
100%.
Find someone that you respect, find someone that you get along with, find someone that you have a camaraderie with, and just ask them, tell me what I go here, tell me what I do here. And then when you find your business that you wish to start, make sure you don't overcommit your list of what you're going to do. Pick 1 or 2 things, do those well, get that grounded, then expand the business. 1 or 2 more things, do that well. The old phrase, jack of all trades, master of none. That's true. You can try to do everything and not be a great success, where if you just focus on 1 or 2 things, get your reputation, get your quality, get your standards and your processes, then everything else will kind of come easy.
Yeah, easy might be a lot to hope for. Do you have any tips generally in terms of how people can find mentors? If they,
Chambers, women's groups, college alumni groups, church Bible study groups, whether it's women's Bible study or men's Bible study, wherever you have a connection of someone that you have met, someone that you respect, wherever that is. Ask them, can I have some of your time? Can I ask you some questions? And go from there. And you know what? You may respect someone and you may meet them for coffee and say, oh my God, that person is a lunatic. We'll put that Let's find a different mentor. You're not going to find your first perfect mentor. You're going to have to go through a selection process, and just have the patience and the tolerance to know that Not everything's going to come the first time. You got to keep working and keep working. I love the phrase, my dad used to tell me, no just means not now. Not now. It may mean 20 years from now. It may mean 6 months from now. It just means not now.
Right. At least in the business setting. We'll just add that caveat.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes.
How about you, Cindy? Advice for somebody who wants to get started with their own business?
First, I really feel like you have to be passionate about it. And I don't think you should overthink it. I think if you get too much advice from people, they will discourage you in so many different ways. I do think you should find yourself a mentor, but I think you find yourself a mentor by finding somebody in that industry that can really be honest and open with you. But for something that you're passionate about, if you go to people that don't know anything about it, they may be saying, no, this doesn't sound like a good idea. So I also think they need to surround, like when they do start up something, know your weaknesses, make sure, like for me, I knew I needed a CPA from the first day I got started. I knew I needed a lot. I needed an assistant. I knew what I was really good at and I knew what I was really bad at. And I think that's a big thing for everybody, to really take a good look at yourselves and what you can and cannot do.
Makes a lot of sense. How about you, Laura?
Yeah, I agree with both of those things. Passionate mentors, even if you find like a group of people that get together on a regular basis, if you're all kind of in the same like 1 to 2 years in. I also would say like maybe be easy on yourself to some extent. I think we set these like really lofty goals and we're going to go out and take on the world. And then the first month we have 1 sale or whatever it is. And it's, and that's not a failure, right? You've got 1, by the way. So I think we really need to be like, okay with the progress that we are making. So just reevaluating and figuring out what's realistic. The other thing is too, is I think it's really important to set your core values from the beginning. Like what, you have this passion for what you're doing, but what is really important to you and your organization? What do you stand for? What do you believe in? Because you're going to attract the people to your team that have the similar core values that you do, and you're going to keep the ones that really buy in to what's important to you as the leader of that organization.
I agree.
Sense. I think we should probably wrap up, but Jessica, did you have any last bits, anything that you wanted to add or ask?
No, that was phenomenal, Lorin. Ladies on the Zoom, let's give Lorin and Cindy, Laura, and Kristi a round of applause for their fantastic insight and all the amazing little words of wisdom and tips. Mary Beth says thank you. Connie says thank you. Cassandra and Debbie. And thanks to everyone who joined us. Lorin, you are a phenomenal moderator. I can see why everyone trusts you with having people tell you their story and you facilitating them writing their story, because you did a great job pulling some amazing stories out of the 3 panelists. And we're just so grateful that we have strong women like you and the panelists in Tampa Bay that have been in business for 10, 20, 30 years and are inspiring not just the women in the Zoom room today, but women throughout Tampa Bay to be long-term business owners. So we're grateful for you. I did hear accountability a couple of times and goal setting, and just a reminder for not just the working women in the Zoom room today, but also for the chamber members that one of the ways that we've pivoted, Working Women has pivoted in 2020 is we've started accountability success circles called the Goal Getter Success Circles. And Lorin actually is moderating one. I think hers is the 4th Tuesday of the month. So if you have some goals that you want to crush for the end of 2020 and even into 2021 and you're interested in joining one of those, let us know. You only have to meet once a month for 1 hour on Zoom, and we'll help you stay accountable. But I just want to give a special shout out to the Chamber for allowing us to co-host this, and thank you to Kelly for her leadership and partnership, and also thank you to Erica on her phenomenal staff for helping organize this today. And thank you ladies for spending an hour with us, and thank you panelists and Lorin, the moderator, for sharing your words of wisdom. And hopefully, like somebody, I think it was Debbie Lundberg in chat said, this is a great way to kick off September 1st. And so hopefully this will have a fantastic month using the words of wisdom from the panelists and from Lorin, and just the great energy that we've gotten off of today. So thanks again. Don't forget to download the chat, the 3 little buttons in the chat box, if you want to remind yourself who was here. And hopefully reach out to Kristi, Cindy, Lorin, or Laura, and Kelly and Erica at the Chamber if you need resources on how to continue to grow your business. Thanks, ladies. Have a good one. Happy September. Bye. We'll see you soon.